Hi everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Green Apple Books in the Park. My name is Car Johnson. I'm the event coordinator for Green Apple, and tonight I am very happy to welcome back actually Jennifer Newens as we celebrate her latest book, Wednesday Night Wine Down, 52 Drinks for Low Alcohol Midweek Sipping. We had the pleasure of hosting Jen a couple months ago for Monday Night Mocktails, and we're very excited to celebrate the latest installment of the Cheers to the Week series. Both books have really delectable photos by Alison Brown. They're just really like beautiful cookbooks. Do you categorize a cocktail book as a cookbook?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. They're beautiful cookbooks. So we're really excited to have Jen back. Before I let her take over here and we get to tasting some delicious things, I would just like to let you know that now is a good time to silence your cell phones if you have not already. Please do check out our full event calendar online at greenapplebooks.com. We have a really great season ahead of us, including the event you are currently attending. And if you are able, please do buy books. We always appreciate it. This one in particular makes a great gift for yourself or anyone in your life. And if you've been here before, you've certainly heard me say that when you buy books from us, not only do you support us as an independent bookstore, you support the writers who put so much work into making these books, and then you get to have a book, which might be the best part. So if you are able, we always appreciate it. Thank you so kindly. Let me tell you a little bit about Jennifer Newens before I let her take over here. Jennifer Newens is a cookbook editor, cooking teacher, and literary agent from Oakland, California. She received her culinary training from the prestigious Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, New York. She believes that everyone deserves to have a special drink in a fancy glass with a pretty garnish at the end of a long day, whether or not they choose to put booze in it. And again, we are celebrating her latest Wednesday Night Wine Down. Let's give a hand for Jennifer Newens.
Hi everyone. I'm thrilled to be here. My book came out yesterday.
Yay! Happy Prep Day.
Thank you. Those of you who are not in the industry might not know this, but books always come out on Tuesdays. But today's Wednesday, so what better day to celebrate a book that has Wednesday in the title. So as Car mentioned, my first book was called Monday Night Mocktails. So I was embracing those of us who don't drink. I stopped drinking for 2 years, and for that book, I was really paying tribute to people who, like me at that time, would go out to bars or go out to restaurants and felt really alone and not considered when we were there and we were offered a Coke or a Pellegrino or soda water from the tap, and that really was paying tribute to people who are choosing not to drink or can't drink because they're training or they're pregnant or they just don't like alcohol. And this is kind of the next step. We've been reading a lot of things about alcohol that's, it's not really healthy to drink a lot of alcohol or not every day drinking a lot of alcohol. So this is about low alcohol cocktails. So you can still enjoy a cocktail, but maybe you don't want to have that 151 rum or 100 proof bourbon, and really re-envisioning how to drink. So I was inspired to come up with 52 drinks, one for every Wednesday of the year.
Amazing.
So it's organized seasonally from spring through the winter holidays, and really thinking about wine as the main ingredient rather than 100 proof, 80 proof spirits. So that's what I did, and it was an extremely creative and fun book to create. I often get the question, well, how did you go about coming up with the drinks? So a lot of it, I started out researching kind of the classic cocktails, and seeing if I could replace wine with spirits with wine. And I have some samples up here which we'll taste in a little bit, and that's exactly what these are. So I have a red wine margarita, I have a white wine margarita, which has a little smoky element to it. And then I have a drink that I came up with. It's an original Jen Newens drink, which uses rosé. So we'll be able to taste these in a bit, which uses red wine, white wine, and rosé. So you'll get a chance to see kind of how my brain works. And then I also considered the seasons, like what is in season in the spring, what is in season in the fall, what is in season or appropriate in the winter. So I used a lot of seasonal fruits, I used herbs, I infused simple syrups, much like a bartender might do, and I used those elements to create the drinks. And then as far as the wine is concerned, there's a whole world of wine that exists beyond just your bottle of still wine. So I used wine, still wine, meaning it's not bubbles. I used sparkling wine. I also used fortified wine, which that would be like sherry or port. I also used aromatized wine, and that would be kind of like vermouth. So wine that's been added herbs and botanicals. Lillet is another one. So all of those were at my disposal to incorporate in here. So that's really about kind of the background around the book. Does anyone have questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
What is your process for developing a cocktail recipe? Like, do you think of the concept first and then test it, or do you test it? How many times do you vet the recipe to make sure that it's...
That's a great question. My process is really, because I've been a cookbook editor for many years, like 20, 30 years. So I tend to write the recipe first. I do all my research, and I kind of write a really rough draft, and I tend to write the entire manuscript first. And I have a lot of experience, so I can sort of taste in my head as I'm doing it.
Oh, that's great.
I get it all down in my Google Doc, and then I go back and I test. And as I'm testing, that helps me edit. I think I know what the ratio is going to be, but then when I'm testing, I kind of tinker. I think, oh, this needs more acid. Oh, this is too sweet. I better do it again. So that tends to be my editing process as I'm testing.
Another question.
Yeah.
When you test it, do you batch them out to test it, or do you just do one to test it first to see?
That's a really good question. Because this the way these recipes work. Well, let me back up a step. This series existed before I was involved. So the first book, and Car, you might carry this book in your selection, was called Friday Night Cocktails.
Yeah.
Friday Night Cocktails existed, and then the publisher came to me and said, "Oh, we want Monday Night Mocktails," and she knew that I wasn't drinking at the time, and that I had experience, and said, "Hey, Jen, do you want to write Monday Night Mocktails?" But the template of the series already existed, and the way the template worked is it was one cocktail at a time. So to answer your question, it was just shaking one cocktail at a time. And it was also based on using traditional bar implements. So it was as if you were acting like a bartender in your own home. Amazing. So I followed that template.
That's great. Thank you.
I did, I'm actually working on a third book. It's going to be tropical cocktails. And in my mind, a lot of those tropical cocktails use a blender. And in my mind, no one's going to get out a blender and only make one cocktail. So I'm sort of expanding on that.
Interesting.
And for the blender cocktails, I'm always scaling them to 2.
That's perfect. Yeah, you're right. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Also the immersion blender might be an option too.
Yeah, I haven't tried that. But to crush an ice cube, I really think you need a high-speed blender.
Yeah.
But then back to scaling, some of the recipes in mocktails too are for punches. So especially during the winter holidays. So those I kind of made an exception. So and in the recipe head note I said these are for your holiday parties. Like there's a mulled wine in both books. There's a party punch in both books, and so those I said those are scaled to like 10 or 12 rather than just 1 or 2.
Great, thank you.
Good questions, thank you.
Of course.
Yeah. Yes.
I have a question. So, what was the most surprising, like, success for you amongst the different kinds of wines you just discussed? Like, I was interested to hear about the Fortify, and what was maybe the most surprisingly challenging one to work with?
That's a really good question. Can I cheat and look in here?
That's okay.
You know, surprising wine to work with. I don't know. That's like asking me what's my favorite cocktail.
Oh, no.
There were some really surprising drinks in here. Like there's one called the Black Velvet, which is stout and sparkling wine. Like I never would have thought of that. It's really good. There's a lot of drinks in here that come from Spain and Portugal and Italy that are actual drinks that they drink on the regular that completely blew my mind. Like there's one called the Calimoxto that's red wine and Coca-Cola.
I don't know, I've heard that.
A little lemon juice.
Oh,
Wow.
They drink that all the time in Spain. Who knew?
so interesting.
That's in here. Really good. What else? Yeah, and there are also things like there's lots of spritzes in here. You know, red wine. There's a red wine spritz. There's an Aperol spritz. There's lots of spritzes. Oh, here's one that surprised me. It's a white sangria. Sangrias are typically big batches, and I wanted to make a single batch. So I was looking for ways to just say, I'm craving sangria tonight. How can I mix it one cocktail at a time so that you can have your sangria just in a glass? So I made a red one, and then I made this white one, which uses Lillet, white Lillet, which is an aromatized wine, and a little regular white wine and peach liqueur. That one I was craving every night. I wanted it every night, and I had the ingredients right there, so I kept making it. That was yummy. Yeah, here's one. It's a take on a Moscow Mule, and it uses red wine instead of, in addition to vodka and ginger beer.
Interesting.
That was super fun. So a lot of these things really surprised me. Like I did probably this one, the red wine margarita. I thought that sounds weird, but I've been making this at every event, and it's a huge crowd pleaser. Normally it would have a salt rim and a lime garnish, but everyone loves that.
Okay.
So how long, these are 52 different recipes.
Yeah.
How long did it, that's a lot. How, what was your kind of workflow like in developing? Were you looking at like one a week? Were you looking at a couple a week?
Because of the background I have,
Yeah.
Being a cookbook editor for that many years and being able to kind of taste in my head, didn't actually take me that long. And there's a wealth of information on the internet.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty good at researching. Being an English major, you learn how to research. It didn't take me that long.
Yeah.
And it was so fun and so different from what I do on a daily basis that I was just so excited to get into it.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, it took me 3 months maybe.
Wow.
Wow.
It's not, and Phoebe's a cookbook author.
Yeah.
It didn't take me as long as it would to write a cookbook. It wasn't as complex as that. Plus, I had this gorgeous template already planned out for me. The style guide was already there. All of these things were already created. I didn't have to reinvent the wheel. So, yeah.
What's it been like to be working on a recipe book essentially on the other side of it as opposed to being an editor of them?
Well, that's a really interesting question. I was saying this to Phoebe at dinner. When you're an editor, you're kind of a ghostwriter. You're kind of doing it anyway, but you don't get credit. So to be able to write it and have your name on it and get your name in the marquee and be sent out on a tour, it's glorious. It's it's kind of what you've always wanted and deserved. So it's actually great. You finally feel like you made it, even though you've been doing this and been in the trenches all your career. So it's really wonderful.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else?
Next book.
Next book is Tropical Cocktails. Comes out in 2026.
Cool.
And it's definitely not low alcohol. If you ever go to a tiki lounge, you know what I mean. It's got layers and layers and layers of different spirits. And when I get done testing that book, which is early next month, I think I'm going to quit drinking for a bit.
Early next month, you're going to be done testing?
Yeah, my deadline is June 5th. So
For the manuscript?
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
it's nearly there.
That's crazy.
Cranking them out, Jen.
I
Yeah,
know.
you are.
It's
Machine.
so fun. Well, my publisher is absolutely delightful to work with. And
Is it in the same series?
yeah, so it'll be called, the working title is Thursday Night Tiki Lounge.
Okay.
We were wondering what
Yeah,
the
we
title
were.
was going to be.
I have this internal debate in my head about the word tiki, and so I'm continually revising the intro because I want to be transparent about the cultural appropriation.
Sure.
I think I have something good to say about it that's not going to be polarizing. And then as I write it, I'm focusing on giving credit to the people, the bartenders who create the drinks, focusing on the flavors, not the culture. But I think that's how the salespeople want to position it. So
Smart.
yeah,
For marketability, you want to have that lens.
Yeah.
Cool.
but it'll be delicious. Yay. It is delicious.
Yeah.
And then I think Tuesday might be next.
Cool. Just filling up the week.
I know.
Yeah. What's going to
Do you
happen
have
when all
any
the
ideas
seven
for the
7
weekend?
days are done? What are you going to do then? Start with the months. January, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's great.
Well, feel free to come on up and taste these.
Yay, thanks,
This is the
Jen.
red wine margarita.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, I can't wait.